Hari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Vardhana Ranjana Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunjabihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunjabihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Vardhana Jaya Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunjabihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunjabihari Om Namo Bhagavate Jai Shivāj Paramahansa Parivakacharya Saraswati Susimat Is Loving Divine Jesha Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Jaya ISKCON Vividi Funcharya Srila Prabhupada ISKCON Paramahansa Prabhupada Srila Goswami Shri Radha Giri Shri Govinda Shri Gandhi Sudra Giraj Maharaj Ki Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. So I'd like to welcome everyone to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class, and I'd like to especially thank Grace Shyama Maraji and the management for giving me this opportunity to say a few words on this translated literature. Just a bit of disclaimer. I'm not yet qualified to speak on Srimad Bhagavatam, but I'm doing this as a duty and service to a temple and the management and for my own purification. So kindly, dear devotees, please bless me that I can speak according to the Sadhu, Shastra, and Guru. Also, before we go forward, I'd like to especially get the mercy of Guru and Srila Prabhupada. It's because without the mercy and blessing of Srila Prabhupada, we would not be sitting here this morning to discuss and hear this translated literature. By his immense mercy, unfathomable mercy, he gave us the key to access this vast treasure house of Vedic literature like Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Bhagavad Gita, and many, many literature. So we are ever so thankful to him, and we need his blessing to continue. Thank you, everyone. So I'll request His Grace Abhay Charana Prabhu to speak on the Srimad Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And I'm just sharing the screen first. Yes. So Abhay had been thinking that perhaps a likely place to start an organization of devotees would be Jhansi. It was not a major city, but at least he had found concerned people. The student had listened and accepted and had said that they would help. Abhay had sensed a certain lack of sincerity and depth in their appreciation, and a sentimentality that of sincerity and that made him doubt their seriousness. But if he could find a few or even who was serious, then he would have a beginning. He wanted to preach. That was the mission. Besides, he was already getting older. If something were to begin, it should be now. So he would go to Jhansi again to stay for an indefinite duration. Without such concern for his Allahabad affairs, Abhay had left his pharmaceutical business with his son and nephew, informing them that he was going to Jhansi. As the train pulled into the station, A boy saw Dr. Shastri waving energetically. They rode together by Tonga to Dr. Shastri's dispensary, and the talkative, effusive doctor promised many preaching opportunities and interviews. Dr. Shastri also spoke of the lore of Jhansi. The site of the present city had formerly been a part of the forest in which Lord Ramachandra had practiced austerities many thousands of years ago. The Pandavas had lived here during their exile, and since then, many great Vedic sages had been their hermitage in this area, Jhansi. Jhansi had also been the home of the Indian heroine Lakshmi Bai, who is the mid-19th century had taken part in, in starting the Indian independence movement against the British regime. Statues and pictures of Lakshmi Bai riding a horse and holding a sword in her unpraised upraised hand were displayed throughout the town. But the Jhansi of 1952 was a crowded, poor city with dirt streets and minimal technological amenities. Dr. Shastri lived alone in the two-story related rented building in Jhansi, Sipri Bazaar. On the first floor of he had his clinic, and upstairs has his one room residence, which he had offered to share with a boy. The young but influential doctor was a good person to introduce a boy to respective citizens of Jhansi, and he was eager to do so. Outgoing and energies, he moved easily among the people of his town. He was respectful towards a boy who was twice his age and whom he appreciated as being firmly fixed in Vaishnava philosophy and way of life. Dr. Shastri saw it as his duty to help a boy and gladly introduced a boy to others and arranged for lectures. Oboy and Dr. Shastri would cook and eat together like family members. Oboy revealed his idea for a League of Devotees, an organization with worldwide scope, but based in Jhansi. The citizens of Jhansi, he said, should all take part in helping spread Lord Krishna's mission. Lord Chaitanya had said, Indians have a special responsibility to distribute good God consciousness, and both in India and around the world. Hare Krishna. So I'm not sharing this. Prabhuji, shall I share the screen for the verse as well?
Yes, Prabhuji, please do so. Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayadayat Nastaprayastu Bhadrayastu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Sloke Bhakti Bhakti Hitaki. So today's verse is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 21, text number 14. And here, Abbas Prabhu has shared this verse on the screen. So I'll chant first, and we'll chant one by one. Thank you. Tasmin harstu sarvesu swa architesu yatha hataha Udaita Sadaso Madhe Taranam Udarat Eva. Again. Tasmin Arhastu Sarvesu Sa Architesu Yatha Rataha Udita Sadaso Madhe Taranam Udarat Eva. Anybody else like to chant, please? Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandot Pranam.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Tasmin arthashu sarveshu Sha architeshu yata yata uttita sadasho madhye taranam uduratmiva. Hare Krishna.
Anybody else would like to chant?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I am trying.
Thank you.
Tasmin arhatshu sarveshu sachiteshu yatarhata utthita sadasho madhye taranam ururariva.
Yeah,
Hare Krishna
anybody else?
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Tasmin arhatshu sarveshu swarchiteshu jatarhatah utthitah sadasho monte tarana muduradivo. Hare Krishna.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Any
Hare
more?
Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. I am trying as well.
Thank you, Mataji.
Tasmin arhatesu sarvesu sa architeshu yatharhatah utthito sadaso madhe taranam uduradibha. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Anybody would like to do the word by word translation?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I'll try. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu. Tasmin, in that great meeting, Arhatsu, of all those who are worshipable, Sarveshu, all of them, Su Architeshu, being worshipped according to their respective positions, Yatha Arhataha, as they deserved, Utthita, stood up, Sadasaha, among the assembly members, Madhye, within the midst, Taranam, of the stars, Udurat, the moon, Iva, like. Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, it seems you are muted. We can't hear you.
Oh,
Sorry,
no,
Prabhu.
I thought someone else is reading the translation, Prabhu.
Sorry.
No,
Okay.
no, I am telling Nanda Vraja.
Yeah, I was muted.
Oh,
So
okay,
anybody
okay.
would like to read the translation?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, go ahead.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Prabhu, you go ahead, Prabhu.
Okay. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In that great assembly, Maharaja Prithu first of all worshipped all the respectable visitors according to their respective positions. After this, he stood up in the midst of the assembly, and it appeared that the full moon had arisen among the stars.
Thank you. Okay, Prabhu, go ahead with the paper. Yeah.
According to the Vedic system, the reception of great exalted personalities as arranged by Prithu Maharaj in that great sacrificial arena is very important. The first procedures in receiving guests is to wash their feet, and it is learned from Vedic literature that one time when Maharaja Yudhishthira performed a Rajaswiya Yagna, Krishna took charge of washing the feet of the visitors. Similarly, Maharaj Prithu also arranged for the proper reception of the demigod and the saintly sages, the Brahmanas and the great kings. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So, Om Jnanatamidasya Jnananjana Sarakaya Chakshurmitamina Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sapitamina Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Vidati Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shriyata Padakamalam Shri Guru Navishnavam Cha Sadvaitam Sarvabhutam Parijana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamcha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisa Gopisakanta Radhakanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhavinda Vaneshwari Vishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpataruvescha Kripa Sindhuevacha Patitanam Pavnibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimate Tamal Krishna Goswami Namini Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharani, Nivrishesha Shunivadi, Pashyatati Satarani. Again, thank you for giving this opportunity to say a few words on this great literature, Srimad Bhagavatam. We are grateful to the Divine Grace of Prabhupada for unlocking this very treasure house of love of Godhead to all the people, irrespective of religion, background, creed, or nationality. Thank you, Sri Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, on this verse, this chapter here of this verse today is instruction by Maharaj Prithu. So before instructing the public and the assembly, Prithu Maharaj, this introductory verse is just an introduction to the following instruction going to follow shortly. Here, Sukadeva Goswami is glorifying Prithu Maharaj and his immense love for the devotees and other great personalities who are visiting his yagna. So after doing his, after the disappearance of Lord Vishnu from his sacrifice arena, Prithu Maharaj, we can see in the beginning of this chapter, that he returns to his palace. And this grand reception, and what happens? Then he decides to do another yagna, a great sacrifice yagna. And we see great personalities, even the demigods, as we see, the great scientific sages, brahmanas, demigod from higher planetary systems, and great friendly king, the Rajarishis, are visiting this great yagna that is initiated by Prithu Maharaj. So in this verse here, we see that how Prithu Maharaj receives this great assembly, great sages, Rajarishis, and the Brahmanas with so much great respect. And he's everybody can hear me properly?
Prabhuji, we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So he's how we receiving all the grace and setting a standard etiquette for future kings. Yesterday we saw the initiation of the sacrifice and the visiting of the demigods, very nicely explained by His Grace Abhaycharana Prabhuji. He said, why is the sacrifice important? What is the significance? Basically, he mentioned 2 points. Is that sacrifice done to please Lord Vishnu. He is the receiver of all the benefits of the sacrifice. And by doing so, the person who participates in the sacrifice also get purified. So 2 reasons. Then he also mentioned about, just a bit of recap, how the demigods are related. The demigods are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and they help the Lord in his administration of this universe. So very, very nicely explained. So in this we can see yagna is being initiated, great rishis and brahmanas, demigods are visiting, and Prithu Maharaj received them with so much opulence and so much etiquette. So first thing we see is that he said Maharaj Prithu worship all of them, all the respectable visitors according to their respective position. So there are two important words. Su architi su, being worshipped according to their respective position, and yatha arhasa, as they deserve. So it seems that this is a very big assembly. In the past, the yagna used to be very, very huge assembly, big sacrificial fire, a lot of visitors, and like we see in the Kumbh Mela, millions of devotees visit, and this whole city is created for their reception and their welfare. So in this yagna too, it seems that Maharaj Prithu has already made arrangement to receive these guests, make facility for their accommodation, their welcome, their prasadam, and so very nicely welcoming them. So before he starts, while receiving the guests, he is worshipping them according to their position and the way they deserve the worship. You can see when Lord Krishna appeared visited the Rajasuya Yagna of Maharaj Yudhishthir, they also welcome you very nicely. And how they receive? So first, Lord Krishna was received by Yudhishthir Maharaj. And what he did, because he's elder to Lord Krishna, Yudhishthir Maharaj bowed down to him and smelled the head or the hair of Lord Krishna. This is his, then he embraced him. This is the way of receiving an elder according to the position. And Bhimsen and Arjun Maharaj, they embrace the Lord because they are more or less an equal position. And they embrace the Lord by welcoming him. And then the younger two Pandavas, they bowed down the feet of Lord Krishna and worshipped him, and then they embraced him. So according to the position and the standing, the reception is accorded in accordingly. So this is a standard. So here we have seen a huge assembly of devotees, among the very, very nice, very exalted personalities are visiting. The demigods are there, Rajarishis are there, Brahmanas are there, and how humbly Prithu Maharaj is arranging their worship and reception. So it's a great reception. So why is Prithu Maharaj doing this? He's in the previous verse we have seen, Prithu Maharaj is the original king. He is setting a standard. So he could have easily just doing them pranam and would have gone to his seat and just assume the seat on the throne and just said a few words for welcoming everyone. But here he's taking the trouble of individually worshipping them and welcoming them. So the etiquette, because Prithu Maharaj is the original king, he's setting the standard of how one should receive saintly people or great guests in the assembly. So in the current language, we say he's setting the best practice, because eventually other great leaders after King Prithu will, because King Prithu has set a precedent, they will also follow this. So this is according to the verse from Bhagavad Gita, where in chapter 3:21, yet archati srestas tat evarato jana sa saya paramam purte lokastad anuvartate. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standard he sets by example, acts, all the world pursues. So he says, whatever action a great man like Prithu Maharaj performs, then common men will also follow. He's setting a standard. And then whatever example he sets, the common will also follow and then act accordingly. So it's very important that the great personalities set an example, set a standard so the future kings and common men will follow. So in the Vedic system, this is called culture of love and respect, great culture. So what happens? Somebody is being received and worshipped and taken with so much respect and care. What happens then? Why? What is the result? It says here, the person who is receiving the worship, the kings, the Rajarishis, the Brahmanas, the demigods, they become, when Prithu Maharaj approaches them, they become very, very happy that somebody is coming and recognizing them. They feel valued. And become very pleased just by the reciprocation of service that he has a great personality, but he's not puffed up. He's so much humility, he's so prideless that he's welcoming with open heart and so much paraphernalia. So the person receiving the worship become internally and externally very happy and also become emotionally surcharged. What this worship does then, it creates a very auspicious atmosphere with reciprocation, recognition, being valued. So whole atmosphere became very, very pleasant, very, very auspicious, because because King Prithu is arranging for a huge sacrifice yagna. He wants to start with a very positive, very auspicious such atmosphere. So just by doing this, it looked like a very menial service for a great king. He's creating a auspicious atmosphere. So his future endeavor in sacrifice become very successful, and everyone become pleased. So even great personalities like Lord Krishna also did the same thing. We have two examples from Srimad Bhagavatam, where Lord Krishna personally took up this service. Here is mentioned by Srila Prabhupada in the Rajasri Yajna, performed by great King Yudhishthira Maharaj. Lord Krishna took charge of washing the feet of visitors. I mean, great, the Supreme Lord himself is also sending this example. He personally took charge of washing the feet of all the great persons who were visiting the yagna, and this was service given by Maharaj Yudhishthira. And just imagine Lord himself take this great great service, and how the visitors will feel. Here the Lord Krishna is the Supreme Person of Godhead, and he is receiving them with so much humility. So it sets a very good atmosphere, a very good positive environment for the visitors to feel at home. And here again, we see in Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Krishna is receiving the great, his friend, his friend from the school days, was Sudama. Sudama, sorry. Yeah. The Vipra Sudama. He's been such a great friend. And Lord Krishna goes running out when he hears that Sudama Vipra is his great friend from the school days, is visiting him. Although Sudama Vipra is not very well dressed because of poverty, Lord Krishna, after his great humility, arranges for him to sit in his throne, gets his queen to get all the paraphernalia, washes his feet, does a yarti, offered him nice prasadam and good place to rest. Such a great example how even a great brahmana who's supposed to be in a very materially poor condition, the Lord receives him so much love and respect and sets a good example. So these two examples we can see the devotees who is receiving this feeling very, very welcome, very much at ease, and creates a very good atmosphere. So in the opposition to this, what happens when the great guests are not welcomed very nicely? We have two examples from Srimad Bhagavatam. When the great Lord Indra was sitting on his throne once, and they held a big assembly, and his spiritual master, Brihaspati, entered the assembly. Because Lord Indra is such a great king with so much opulence and so much possession, he forgets or overlooks to welcome his spiritual master, Brihaspati. And Brihaspati is such a great personality. He notices this, and he just walks out of the assembly unnoticed. Eventually, Indra notices this, that he has forgotten to receive Brihaspati, and he tried to seek out Brihaspati and ask for apology and to welcome him, but it was too late. Brihaspati, by his mystic power, he hides himself, and Indra, even after so much endeavor, is not able to locate Brihaspati. So what happens eventually? Because of this great neglect, Indra loses opulence. His military power wanes, and demons are able to capture his throne and his kingdom. So in the other side, the demons are also very happy because they are worshipping their spiritual master, and because of his blessing, they're able to capture the kingdom of Lord Indra. So just by disrespecting
and neglecting to welcome the spiritual master, Indra loses everything. So this is an opposition, another case we can see why this is so important. Then we have another case where the guests are not well welcome. Is where in the Daksha Yagna, Lord Shiva is visiting, but Daksha Maharaj, because of great pride and egoism, he's not respecting his great visitor, his son-in-law, Lord Shiva. Even so much so, he completely neglects him. And Lord Shiva is such a magnificent personality. He is not offended or insulted by this. But when he goes back, and then his wife Sati wants to visit her father, Lord Shiva asks her not to do so, because he says, advise his wife, because you are not invited formally, although it is Daksha is your father, you will not be welcome. Please do not go. But because of filial love, she insists on going, and Lord Shiva eventually concedes for her to go. So when she visits, she could feel that her father, Daksha Maharaj, is completely neglecting her. So much so, even among all sisters, he's not even talking to her. Such insult. So Sati, out of great regret for the offense caused by Daksha Maharaj, her father, and also insult to Lord Shiva, she takes a position and attains samadhi by burning her own body by yogic fire. So then eventually what happened, when Lord Shiva hears this, he sends his troop and completely destroys the Yagnashala of Daksha Maharaj. And they use this instrument for killing the goats to kill all the assembled people. People just scatter. So there was complete chaos, and the Yagna is completely in chaos and disarray. Whole thing is failed. Why is this so? What is the result? Because Daksha, out of great pride, egoism, he forgets to welcome Lord Shiva in the way that he deserves, a great personality. So we can see when somebody welcomes here, like Prithu Maharaj, great personalities, a very nice atmosphere is created and they get the blessing. But on the opposition side, when somebody neglects to sufficiently and nicely welcome a great welcome with honor a great guest, then this chaos and there's a whole failure of the system. So what this verse teaches us, that one has to be very, very alert and how to follow the protocol, how to have the etiquette of welcoming guests. So even in this age, we can see Prabhupada also set up this standard. In his when his Gurubhadra is to be invited to Mayapur, Prabhupada will personally make sure they are welcome well. They are garlanded, offer nice seed, offer nice prasadam. So there's a nice reciprocation from both sides, just to ease the situation. Also, I observed in my Guru Maharaj's dealing with his Gurubhadras, once we had the huge Vyas Puja celebration in Fiji, and a lot of his Gurubhadras were visiting. So Gurudev was offered a very nice Vyasam, but before he took the seat, he went to each of his Gurubhadras, garlanded them, and applied sandalwood paste to their forehead, and gave a small gift, and did his obeisances. Each of his Gurubhadras, he did this. And also some senior devotees, he also did this. Then I was wondering, Gurudev is such a personality with so much following and a right-hand man of Srila Prabhupada, but why he's doing this? But this is the etiquette, this is the protocol. To receive the mercy of the Vaishnavas, one has to do this protocol. So the whole atmosphere become created is very auspicious. Everything goes very smoothly. So this is etiquette. Even the epitome of Vaishnava etiquette is His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj. He did a whole course on Vaishnava etiquette, how we should receive the guest. So in current days, we can see when great personalities like His Holiness Krishna Das Goswami Maharaj visits our places, home visits, we see that devotees immediately arrange for feet washing, and Maharaj is very, very humble to let even uninitiated devotees to wash his feet. There's sometimes this restriction. Some spiritual masters do not allow washing of their feet, but Krishna Maharaj is so magnanimous, so kind, that he allows anybody, even uninitiated devotees, uninitiated bhaktas, to do this service. So washing of his feet, then the devotees offer a full arti and garland him. So just by welcoming this way, what happens? The devotees feel very blessed, and they get a blessing of the spiritual master or the guru. Very, very. We are all made of mercy of the devotees. So to make spiritual progress, one has to be humble and do a proper etiquette to welcoming great personalities. So this is the current situation, even in ISKCON now, where we see great personalities, Vaishnavas, Acharyas, Gurus being very nicely welcomed. And because Srila Prabhupada established this system, and it's coming up from Lord Chaitanya, Lord Krishna, Pritha Maharaj, and Lord Chaitanya. So how this humility comes about? By washing somebody's feet. It seems like in a menial way, somebody outside person might say, oh, this is very, how can somebody supposed to be very exalted come to this position of washing somebody's feet? But they don't understand the etiquette of Vaishnava culture, the culture of love. Just to establish this great system has been inaugurated. When we see in Chaitanya Charitamrita how Lord Chaitanya, just by great humility, won over Prakasananda Saraswati, we see in Chaitanya Charitamrita that when Lord Chaitanya was visiting Banaras, he was doing great Sankirtan Yagna, but the Mayavadi sannyasis, headed by Prakasha and Saraswati, they were making fun of it. So how is this sannyasi getting so sentimental? And the followers of Lord Chaitanya, they were becoming very, very morose, sad to hear this. So they brought this situation to the attention of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Lord Chaitanya just smiled. So once he got this opportunity, one Brahmana requested Lord Chaitanya to come to his home because he's inviting a lot of great sadhus and sannyasis to his home for prasadam. Lord Chaitanya, by his mercy, he would not normally go to a place where Mayavadi sannyasis are visiting. But because his followers were a bit disturbed with the criticism of these Mayavadi sannyasis, Lord Chaitanya wanted to take this opportunity to preach to them. So in spite of his reservation of mingling with Mayavad sannyasis, Lord Chaitanya did visit this house of the devotee who was Brahmana, who was offering prasadam to all the sannyasis. So when he went there, he sat down just outside the place of assembly, and he washed his feet. He sat down, and when Prakasananda Saraswati, who was the head of the sannyasi order at that time, noticed that Lord Chaitanya, a Vaishnava sannyasi, sitting outside, he came forward and asked him to come and sit amongst them. So just by Lord Chaitanya's mercy, by his magnanimity to be humble, he was able to access the assembly of the great sannyasis, Mayavad sannyasis. And then a conversation took place. The Mayavadi sannyasi asked Lord Chaitanya, why you as a sannyasi not studying Vedanta Sutra? It's a duty of the sannyas order to study in great detail this Vedanta Sutra, but you are just going outside chanting. And then the whole conversation took place, and Lord Chaitanya was able to preach very nicely to the Mayavadi sannyasis, so much so that eventually the Mayavadi sannyasi became convinced that Lord Chaitanya is no other than Lord Narayan, and they become converted to Vaishnavism. Just by this position of humility, and Lord Chaitanya was able to have access to the assembly of the Mayavadi sannyasis, and eventually by his great humility, he was able to convince them that Mayavadi philosophy is erroneous, it's false, and converted them to Vaishnavism. So, in a similar way, when a devotee is serving the great acharyas or other great personalities, by the humility, the recipient of the worship become very, very pleased and give them a blessing. See in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in Bhagavad Gita, we see that Srila Prabhupada has stressed the great quality of being humble and prideless. Amanina manindina kirtaniya sadhari. To give respect to everyone without expecting any respect in return. So Prabhupada is defining what is humility. He says he's showing his humility. Humility means that one should not be anxious to have the satisfaction of being honored by others. Amanitam, amanitam is the humility. Not being anxious to get the satisfaction of being honored by others. Sometimes we are negligent. We do something great, or we want to have somebody want to come forward and get some honor, respect, or some good words of glorification. Somebody done a nice project or done any wonderful service. But here, this humility, Prabhupada is saying, one should not have the satisfaction or anxious to have the satisfaction of being honored by others. This is great humility. By this great quality of Lord Chaitanya, we can see he was able to have access to the Mayavad philosophy, Mayavad sannyasis, and able to convert them. So very, very important to have this great humility. Amanina manidina kirtaniya sadhari. The other one is pridelessness. Lord, we saw in the previous chapter how Prithu Maharaj was so glorious, but he was completely prideless. Even after so much glorification, he was very, very anxious to serve the Lord. Although he's a great personality and the original king, he wanted to set the standard. So in this verse, we can see that he, because of great humility and pridelessness, he is welcoming all these great personality, even the demigods, with great respect. And then what happens? Because of this, he is shining like a moon in a full moon among the stars. We can see when there's a full moon, the stars are not visible. The full moon become completely effulgent and visible. And because of the millions of stars around it, they are become dim or in the background, and the full moon just shines. Similarly, because of his great qualities of Prithu Maharaj, when he stood up amongst the assembly after doing all the reception, he was like a moon, a full moon that has arisen among the stars. He was completely conspicuous by his effulgence and mercy and standing. So in the next verses of this chapter, these qualities and his physical nature, his beauty is being described in more detail, but we will not go to that position. But here he says, yesterday he was saying, because he's the great position in the midst of the great assembly, he stood out like a moon among the stars. Such a great personality. So we can see this Vedic tradition, culture of love and respect is a great asset. And by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, he has embedded this culture within the Hare Krishna movement. And it's so nice because in this culture, there's so much respect and reciprocation among all the devotees. So what are some of the key points, takeaway points? It says that some of the key points from takeaway points from this is that great leaders need to follow example of King Prithu Maharaj. They need to create a culture of love and respect. In that way, their whole leadership will become very result-oriented, will be very auspicious, and they'll be able to create a tradition in which the whole community can live to prosper very nicely, materially and spiritually, achieve the goal of life, which is Krishna Prem. Another point is humility and pride-lessness are the key pillars for advancement in spiritual life. Or if one is not humble and is not proud, this is a beginning stage of the advancement in spiritual life. And what's the next one? The key point is, one who forgets to follow this etiquette or protocol and the culture of love and respect, the results are disastrous. Can have very, very huge fall down or create chaos within the community and in the world at large. So because King Prithu set up this great example, even it says in the previous verse, this system is still being followed in the higher planetary system. That's, so currently in the material situation, the world leaders are not that great or they do not have this knowledge. So they are creating a lot of chaos. We can see this in the case of the war going on between Russia and Ukraine, and so much leadership struggle. They're falling down, criticizing each other because there's no etiquette, there's no culture, there's no protocol to respect each other. There's no culture of love. So see, Srimad Bhagavatam is giving so much instructions on setting up a stage for advancement in material advancement and spiritual advancement. This is the base. So if one does not have this base, then whatever we build on that is going to collapse. It's not going to bear good results. So yes, so this is a great example. One we should study nicely and share and care for each other. So recently we had this seminar, devotee care course, and these elements of love was the foremost. Because if one cares for each other, then it's based on love and respect. Everything will just go very nicely. So I'd like to thank everyone for this listening nicely. And if anybody has any comments, resume, point of discussion, please come forward. I'd like to share with you. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. What a great narration of this text, such a small text, but carries so much of weightage. The small purport, but a lot of information. And you so nicely explain the greatness of Prithu Maharaj in his dealings to the devotees of different levels, the sages, Lord Krishna and others. So it shows us the way how we need to understand the importance of everybody's position in our dealing with in everyday life. So this is how Prithu Maharaj is setting an example to set right the Vedic culture throughout the generation so that we understand the importance of our culture, very rich culture, and follow accordingly. And Srila Prabhupada has given examples and the ways through his various disciples, like Bhakti Charu Maharaj has already started the Vaishnava etiquettes, which is a big file. Once I was reading, is so much information. Is each and every point he pointed out to give us information. In every movement, there is an etiquette, and we need to very well understand how to maintain that in every respect of our life. Not to the non-devotees, not to the senior devotee, junior devotee. This doesn't matter. It matters how we deal with them. So it's very, very important. And you have given so much of examples. As I remember even one of the this Ramarsan, how he was punished by Baldev while he was seated on the Vyasasan, not caring for Baldev while he was entering. So he got that punishment. And the others is here Daksha Maharaj and Lord Indra. They all punished of their misdeed or misbehaving the great rishis and guests, not welcoming them in the proper order. So these are the examples showing us we can lose our position, may not physically, but internally, philosophically or spiritually, we may lose our position if we don't respect the devotees according to their position. And as you mentioned, the devotee care is one of the subjects that we missed it out, however, but it is an opportunity for all of us to understand the importance, how devotees need to be taken care of. And that's all from me. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for summarizing and giving the main points. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna. Anybody else has any comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandot Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandot Pranam.
So nice to hear you. We don't get much opportunity to hear you on the morning Bhagavatam class. So nice to hear you after a few months. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing your wonderful experience and realizations. And I think, as even Tulsi Sevi was saying, your examples are wonderful. Like right from the ancient millions of years back, you've given even the contemporary examples in terms of how your Guru Maharaj and other acharyas have behaved in recent times. And I think what I liked about what you're saying was you are not just emphasizing the negative aspect. That is, if we don't do this, what will happen? You were emphasizing the positive aspect of love and affection. How this etiquette is not just ritual. It is actually an expression of love and affection and caring among the devotees, rather than saying that if you don't do this, then it will become offense, or if you don't do this, you will have this punishment. So you are emphasizing the positive aspects of that. So that I really liked it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prashak Prabhu, for your comments. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandot Pranam, Mataji.
We would like to hear you more. Very nice class. Yes, I like the examples what Pusuk Madhu Prabhu also told from the beginning. The Jat Acharati Shrestha. We should follow them, like that Krishna's example, Yudhishthira Maharaj example. Very nice class. And also you told about the devotee care. Yes, this is the love, is the symbol to care each other. And really would like to hear you more, Prabhu, because your realization, we'd like to listen. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. I personally like to hear other devotees.
We would like to hear you.
Thank you for your comments.
Yeah,
Thank you, Hare
very
Krishna.
nice class. Yeah, thank you, Hare Krishna.
Okay, if there are no other comments, we would like to close here. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much for the very nice class and depicting the examples of the highest people like Lord Krishna, who has set an example before us, how we have to treat even the smallest, in the material conception, the poorest person like a Sudama Brahman, and also in the current present situation, you have also explained how Tamal Krishna Maharaj and Bhakti Charu Maharaj, they have by their example have set they have set before us the high standard that we should follow, and by following that only, it is not only for us to follow, just to follow it, but it purifies us also. We become humble when we follow this example, and if we imbibe it in our personal life, we benefit from them. And this is the beauty of the Vaishnava culture, that by example only one can teach others. And you have very nicely pointed it out. Prabhuji, thank you for that. And once we do that, it has within it the love and respect. By love and respect only, we can spread the message of Krishna consciousness to others also. And you have very nicely pointed out. Thank you, Prabhuji, for that.
Thank you so much for everybody's comments. We'll close here. Thank you everyone for coming together. Panchakalpadarvaisya,
Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Brindo Ki Jai. His Grace Nanda Vraja Prabhu Ki Jai. Ki Jai. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Jai. Thank you.